we're going to go over the hospital optimality proof really quick. So first, it's very good to have definitions. So a valid partner, say of H, let's denote it like this, is a valid partner if there's a stable matching where they're paired. So that means the best valid partner is one in which H prefers S over all valid partners considering all stable matchings. Okay, now some intuition is that if you recall from the algorithm, hospitals propose to students, and they propose to students in descending order. So intuitively, you can kind of see how hospitals will try to get their most preferable students. Yeah, I won't write that down, but that's just how it is. So, from experience, the Gale-Shapley algorithm, due to the nature of like instabilities, so proofs regarding it are commonly solved with proof of contradiction because of instabilities. Just like the existence of and the concept of instabilities gives rise to to be able to more easily use proof of contradiction for this. Okay, now here's the general proof for it, right? We have this M star, right? And whenever we see M star, this is the output of the GS. And we're gonna assume M star is not hospital optimal. So what that means is that there exists an H and S such that, number one, H is matched with S, H is not matched with S. Match with S in M star. H matched with S in some other stable matching, let's call it M. And number three, H prefers S over its current match in M star. So this is just all to say that what this statement implies, right? If it's not hospital optimal, then that means there exists some stable matching in which some given hospital, say H, has a better valid partner. That's what these three lines are saying. Okay. Now, since we're doing proof of contradiction, we want to go through this logic, write down the implications from definition of the algorithm and etc. to show something that cannot happen, something that's impossible, right? Or something that contradicts something, right? So, commonly for the Gale-Shapley proofs, we'll show some sort of instability, right? So, we can say, by definition of the algorithm, right? This means in M star, for M star, right? H proposed to S, but S rejected H. For, let's say, some hospitals call it H prime. And that's just by definition, right? Because H is not matched with S, but H prefers S over its current partner in M star. Right? Yeah. Okay. So, and then just to reiterate, this is because by the definition of the algorithm, hospitals propose in their in decreasing preference. That means H proposed to S, but S rejected H. Okay? And we know that because it's not matched with S, and it prefers S over its current partner. Okay, I'm going to assume you understand that. Now, what this implies is if S rejects H for some H prime, right? Where it's that where H prime is like the partner that it ends up with. That means S prefers H prime to H, and that's just like how the algorithm works, right? You don't reject a hospital for a hospital that's worse. You reject it for one that's better or more preferred, right? And let's just say like in M, like the hypothetical matching, right? Or we know like H is matched with S, but let's say like H prime is matched with some S prime. Let's just say. So what we know from here, this line right here, is that S prefers H prime to H, right? But to prove an instability, you need it to go this way too. So that means we need somehow to know that H prime prefers S over S prime. However, we don't, there's no indication of this. Like there's nothing we can write that will show this. So we run into a little bit of a pickle. So how we like address this is like we think about it, okay, how would we get this fact, right? How can we frame our question differently so that we can like assume this is true, or not assume this is true, but like show that this is true, right? And I can just tell you the answer. The way that we do that is to make to like frame the question differently. And the way we do that is we define like this scenario. Let's say and this is the scenario, let H be the first hospital to be rejected by any student in the algorithm. Let me just take a step back. What I did here is showed kind of like the like general a way of doing like proof of contradiction, and I showed like how like for this certain case we didn't have enough information, right? So but knowing that we knew what information we fell short for, and that gives intuition on like what kind of framing we need to, or what kind of like more information we need to provide. Yeah, so that's what we're doing here. So let H be the first hospital to be rejected by any student in the algorithm. Let's say S. Right, this is their first rejection that happens, right? So far up until this point, no other hospital has been rejected by any student, right? The key trick is like this first rejection, right? Because this will allow us to like talk about this H prime and like talk about its preferences. Okay? So when S rejects H, that means S has already has an offer from some other hospital, say H prime, and prefers H prime over H, right? So that means S prefers some H prime over H, right? Because S is rejecting H in favor of H prime. And at this moment, no student has rejected any hospital yet. And because this is the first rejection and no student has rejected any hospital yet, we can say stuff for H prime. It's the stuff that we were missing in this one that would have allowed us to complete this instability and show the proof of contradiction. In that case, we know that H prime has not been rejected by anyone. And we know like by the nature of the algorithm, right? If it hasn't been rejected by anyone, that means H prime has not moved down its preference list. Okay, so that means H prime is at the top of its preference list. So when H prime proposed to S and was accepted, H prime hasn't proposed to any other people yet, including like this given like scenario S prime, right? Thus, since we know from this, we know that H prime prefers S over S prime, because from this information, we know that S is at the top of H prime's preference list. Okay, so now we have this, and now we have this. In our hypothetical situation, we had H match with S and H prime match with S prime. But not only do we have this this way of the instability, or sorry, this way, but now we have this other way, which shows an instability, right? So that is like the contradiction. Because we showed that M is not stable, which contradicts the assumption that it was. Okay?